If you see me today and you open this your mouth, tell me Happy Independence Day, I will get issue with you. Those of you way they good in sending messages, WhatsApp messages, SMS, you can't send and come my side. Happy Independence Day. I will get issue with you. Carry out for mine. Avoid me today. There is nothing to celebrate. When they hear me. 7 years from now, 2030, your population is estimated to be 300 million Nigerians. Currently, they say now 200 million plus. When they hear me. 20 years from that 2030, which is 2050, your population is estimated to be 400 million Nigerians. That means we are only second to China in population. Our population, they increase. Standard of government, they reduce. Poverty, in fact, we are betting poverty. Because I can't see how population will increase. Then, economy, they decrease. How you want to carry the population? Not to do. Because of say, we have decided not to do the right things. You understand? Just few people enjoy this country. And the majority are in deep shit. Then you can open your mouth and say, Happy Independence Day. I will get issue with you. What be those things we must do to ensure say this country work at 63? We are 63 years old. At least a 63-year-old man, if you do what he's supposed to do when he's young, he's supposed to not get grandchildren by now. But we are still toddlers. What be those things we must do to ensure say this country it work starting from this 63? What be those things? Number one, there must be the elite consensus. Elite must come together and decide that this country will work. Those elites, una must come together. Una they hear me? Because I don't see the reason why the elite in Hausa are dragging Hausa going one side. Elite in Yoruba are dragging the Yorubas going one side. The elite in the Igbo are dragging the Igbos going one side, dividing everybody. Whereas these are the people that will come together, have a consensus, and make sure that this country work. But everybody now don't divide now, go in all region. You understand? They play regional politics. If we must work as a country, as Nigeria, we must come together and make this country work. The elite must have a consensus. Number two, the civil society organizations must work hand in hand with the Nigerian Labour Congress. Now them go to checkmate the government to make sure say, government do the right things. Not be say labor, they talk different things. Civil society organizations, they talk different things. No, it's not about going on strike. It's about these two bodies coming together and checkmating the government and making sure that the government do the right things. If there is agreement between these two bodies, NLC, civil society organizations, then they will checkmate the government effectively. Wanna they hear me? Number three, recklessness of politicians must be stopped. Not be every position that they buy with money. Any position, any political position, money must not be involved. Because you get money, not be say you must be a political leader or you must be an elected leader in this country. No. Leaders must come through the ballot. Your people must choose. Not because you get money, you come buy them. You know they work anywhere. We must checkmate the recklessness of our politicians in this country for us to work at 63 years. That's number three. Number four, leaders must come to power based on suitability, not eligibility. Not because you get certificate, you need that. Not because you did eligible. You can contest. You are 65, you are 35, so you can contest. You this one, so you can contest. You have it's based on suitability. Are you suitable for the job? What have you done in the past that makes you suitable for the job? Are you suitable? That is the only way you can come to power. Oh, now they hear me. Then the power at the center is too much. It must be weakened. States must be allowed to control their resources and do tax to the federal government. Let them develop at their own pace. We go to copy America. Are we doing what Americans are doing? No. We must look at this. Oh, I don't see this 6 things where I don't carry come given now. It get one doctor. You understand? We will talk on this matter now. You go say as he take. He bring these things together. These 6 points are given. He bring them together, analyze and where una go say as he take talk and with passion. You understand? To tell us say, these things must be done for this country to work. If not, this country will not go work as 63. We go reach 100. We are still where we are. We never even see poverty. Now, in fact, going forward, now we will see poverty now. If we don't do these right things, with me, I don't enumerate give on now. But before I carry that doctor, come on at the month, I beg. We could go on this short break. We will come back. I go nakana you this doctor. When me they talk about, we go explain these points in to do. Let us go on this break.
For over a decade, this has been the birthplace of innovation. Innocent Vehicles is a testament to resilience, employing international best practices to create more than just a car. Every vehicle here tells a story of durability, fuel economy and safety. Crafted with the African spirit, the Nigerian heart. These vehicles surrounding me embody the unique concept of regionalization, each one designed to cater to the tastes and preferences of our people. From the streets in Nigeria to the terrains of the Sahara, these vehicles are designed for our roads, for our people. This is more than a vehicle. It's a symbol of our progress, our resilience, our collective success story. Your feedback drives us to continuously innovate and improve. Innocent Vehicle, the pride of African roads.
Welcome back. Who be this man where I talk about? His name na Dr. Usman Bugaji. He was one-time House of Representative member. I be make una help me listen to what this guy talk, whether it makes sense or it don't make sense. He make brains, I be he don't make brains. I beg, help me listen to Dr. Usman Bugaji. When you listen to that from there, go pound that on what you hear today, and decide that this country will work. Or they hear me. This one na my own Happy Independence Day to honor. Now what you supposed to preach today? Now this, don't be Happy Independence Day. Happy Independence. What are we celebrating? Nothing. So listen to Dr. Usman Bugaji. From there, pound that over what you hear, and go to bed. Now let us listen to Dr. Usman Bugaji.
This is not a place for long speeches. Let me quickly say that there are 3 areas that we need to look at very carefully and change. One, and I will start with this because I think is the most fundamental, the elite in Nigeria have not been able to come to a consensus as to where they want to take their country in the next 25 years or 50 years. And until there is some elite consensus, I don't see this country making progress. The elite in the north will move in the northern direction, the elite in the south will move in the southern direction, and so we are tearing the country apart. We have not learned the basic lesson of even survival in a very competitive environment of the 21st century. We need to come together and say, wait a minute, we are in this country, like it, don't like it, we're in this country. And the most important thing for us is see how can we survive and thrive in this country. And there are ways to do that, and other countries have done so. I mean, look at even Rwanda, a small country that went through hell, as it were. And see it's making fantastic progress simply because there is some level of elite consensus among Rwandans as to where they want their country to be. So one, we need elite consensus as to where we want this country to be, and this should not be a very difficult thing. Secondly, we need a very strong civil society. Labor is going on strike, but Labor is doing it alone. Labor should, I mean, it's a major branch of the civil society. Labor should be able to carry other civil society platforms together, and they should be able to be talking solutions, not just going on strike. They should have an idea of what this country should be doing. When they engage politicians, they should not be engaging politicians simply because the fuel prices have gone up. Yes, these are legitimate concerns, but they should be thinking beyond that. How do we fix the economy? How do we get the country moving? This is a country that is already well over 200 million. In 2030, which is 7 years away, we expect this population to be 300 by United Nations estimation. Another 20 years down the line, 2050, this country is expected to be well over 400 million people, and this is going to make it the 3rd largest country after India and China. The engagement with politicians should be, how do we make this country viable? How do we feed this population? How do we create, build schools for the children? How do we create jobs? How do we provide facilities, infrastructure?
So I'm actually waiting for the third one.
The most serious one.
Yeah. The third one, please.
Okay, the last is the third one is the politicians. They have been a bunch of reckless people, very irresponsible. Look at in the last 25 years. They are even not ashamed that in the last 25 years this country has been going down the drain. And the leadership recruitment, in the political parties is appalling. I mean, there is no way. The way we recruit leaders within the political parties, and I'm not talking about ruling party or opposition party, all the parties literally, I have not seen any with a leadership recruitment mechanism that prioritizes competence, prioritizes patriotism, prioritizes the kind of activities or the kind of features that build countries.
So, Dr. Bugaje,
using money,
let me jump in here.
To power and then destroying. I'm afraid the legislature is part of the big problem. They are part of the very problem that I'm talking about. And I think something has to change fundamentally from the political parties, because the people in the legislature are a product of these political parties. When they were fixing or when they were trying to elect their own leaders, what we heard was kind of horse trading. There was no prioritization of competence, and people who were clearly corrupt in their previous offices were being banded and being put as leaders. How do you expect these people to really fix this country? They can only perpetuate the very culture that has thrown them up. And this political culture is not something that you can legislate on. There has to be a national uprising to make sure that those that we are going to put in power at every level of power must meet certain basic requirements of integrity, of decency, of competence, so that we can begin to lift our country and to be able to be competitive in this 21st century. I can't see much hope, honestly, with the National Assembly as it is at the moment. I'm not saying there aren't fine people here and there within the final assembly. I mean, the National Assembly, I would like to think that there are some few people, but they can't do anything at the moment. They are marginalized. I mean, it is this same, corrupt elements that are forging the way and determining the direction. And you can see it, how they were distributing money while, the ordinary people that, ostensibly elected them were dying or are still dying of poverty. You can see the amount of money that's being thrown up. What us was looking for recently was a fraction of some of the money that the politicians have stolen. How can we run a country like this? No country has been built by leaders with character deficit of the kind that we have at the moment. One thing that has been missing, and this is something that we have been glossing over, and this is the real problem. There is no criteria for leadership in this country. What you have in the Constitution is a criteria for eligibility. There is no criteria for suitability. When you get to the corporate world and you want to put an MD or you want to put a general manager, you come up with certain things that you require. You go to the media, you advertise that this post is for people with 15 years experience of this, with this and this and that, and even then they get references and they go through exercise where they are screened. Here, there is no particular thing. The fact that if you finish a secondary school you can be a president, really it's a shameful thing. There must be criteria if you really want the kind of leadership that can deliver. You see, I don't think it's necessary. What we did in 1979, as some of you may remember, we just simply took the American system, hook, line, and sinker. We did not customize it to our particular peculiarities. So at the moment, for me, really is a big wastage of resources. We don't have the economy to support the American system. But even the American system, as you know, is not working. I mean, look at what is happening in the United States right now. So my point is that we have to come back, and this is the work of our intellectuals, the elite. They need to come back and see how can we customize our political system to fit in with our own peculiar socio-economic and political environment. And this is part of what you might call the colonial hangover. We think because it's American, it's good. No, America developed that within the context of its own history and culture. Every country that is making progress, China is not practicing democracy in the way we see it, in the way we know it, but China is making huge progresses. Everybody wants to, go to China now. Everybody wants to work with China, but China is not a democracy. China has developed a system of meritocracy that is if you like, that blends with its own culture, with its own history. That's what we are supposed to do.